What is your dream or your vision for SongCheck Live? Like,
To continue being honest in the pursuit of showcasing songwriters in the purest ways, be it biographies, live performance footage, videos, anything that showcases songwriters beautifully and poetically, like a Picasso painting, like a line drawing, simply.
when did you first conceptualize SongCheck Live?
You know, it wasn't a one moment thing. It was a process. It started, ironically, where my cousin's soon-to-be husband was the CFO of Sirius Radio, and we were going back to a wedding in Manhattan, and I had the idea to present a radio show to him. So I tried to put that together, and I was working towards that when a friend of mine suggested, you know, we got a friend in New York who's a director, you know, and one thing led to another, and I found myself with a camera crew, and liked the experience so much that I just continued down that path. And like water around a rock, I just continued to let this thing develop with everyone's input, who brings, you know, and that's the way it goes. You know, it's like a tree growing. You know, I planted a seed and it's growing.
Cool. Did your parents encourage you to be like an artist of some sort, or is that something you kind of found on your own?
That's funny. As you notice, the painting behind me is my father's artwork. And he did that in 1964. It was a commission from a publisher out of New York. They asked him to do a coastline of Costa Brava. Anyway, getting back to your question, no, I had no guidance. I had an artist for a father, and my mother, you know, it was like, do whatever you're going to do, and we'll support you in whatever you do, and that was that. And that's been my parents, you know, just 100% support of whatever interests me in life.
So it was something you found on your own then?
This,
Yeah, I mean, being like artistically.
well, I think DNA. I mean, my dad's an artist. You know, the other side of my family are like, you know, cantors and, you know, music directors on Broadway and opera singers in the Met. And I just think there's a whole side of that singing family I experienced growing up. And then my dad being in his studio, you know, as a child, I would always talk to him about perspective and watch him painting as we're talking. And he actually gave me, I remember being a kid in his studio as a kid down here on PCH, where literally he just said, you know, gave me free access to the canvases. And I would go as a kid and grab these expensive canvases in retrospect and just do my artwork. And then take them out front of his studio, set them up, and I got pictures of me selling these paintings for, you know, pennies on the dollar, but probably lost money on the canvases. And never once did he just do whatever.
What is your criteria for something or somebody being on SongCheck Live?
The artist just simply has to touch and move me.
So it's all they have to get to you.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. If I'm inspired by what I'm hearing, and there's no like exact formula. I mean, some artists have magnificent voices, some have lyrical content, some have melodies. If I'm moved, I'm moved, and that's what moves me to ask an artist to be on SongCheck.
What or who has been the biggest influence in your life and your endeavors, like career-wise?
My father, by far, because you know, I experienced him always pursuing his passion, you know, and he never wavered from being an artist. I mean, he's only been an artist. So, you know, traveling in art shows and galleries, and as a family being a gypsies around the country, you know, it was just the pursuit of, you know, his passion. And that's what I've patterned myself by, you know, and followed in his footsteps. Matter of fact, a famous painter friend of his, Paul Blaine Henry, at my birth gave us a painting called Like Father, Like Son, and it's a picture of me in a high chair painting my dad's Oriental style. And it's a palette brush oil, which is another whole freaky story, because 20 years later, you know, it's still wet. I don't know if you know this, but oil.
Right.
But yeah, there's an actual picture of me called Like Father, Like Son, and I'm looking at my dad's painting in a high chair, painting his style of art, and that was a gift from his friend Paul Blaine Henry. So he's been the biggest influence without a doubt.
You asked me a similar question, but what Was there a moment where you felt like, because you said you searched a lot to find what you wanted to do, was there a moment where you finally felt like, okay, this thing with SongCheck, like this is right, this is like the right fit for me? I mean, do you remember it at all, passion that you...
I would say the moment found me. I can't put my finger on the exact second, but I just remember that feeling of, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. Okay, and it was pretty profound. I remember feeling very like, what's the word they always use? An epiphany, an epiphany. And it happened, and I knew it happened, and then I was cool after that. Kind of like coming up, I was breathing for air for the first time.
What's your big vision? Talk us through how you see SongCheck growing and pitch us the concept.
Well, I would hope someday, I really visualize, I will say to people, I hope it's like Johnny Carson's couch is to comedians. I want this to be a stepping stone for songwriters, to go and follow their dreams and to be seen, that who wouldn't, because of the politics and the industry the way it is and how hard it is for some of these talented songwriters to be seen. So I just got real frustrated as a songwriter myself, not seeing songwriters that I was absolutely passionate about being seen in the mainstream, and I was like, why is this not happening? And through that want, I'm still pursuing that want of just exposing the best songwriters, basically.
Seems like you like working with artists rather than like firmly established artists that are very well known, more people that are just starting to come up on the rise. So what is your reasoning behind
because they're at their freshest. It's like fresh bread. I mean, it tastes its best. I mean, it smells its best, it sounds its best, it tastes its best. I think it's my opinion that after artists get on the road and have a number of albums and all the politics of the industry catch up to them, I feel those charm moments are farther and farther between, the beginning of their career and those little venues and those smoky bars. And it's the best time to see artists is when they're just rising and their spirit is alive and the candle's burning bright in their soul.
Could you speak to the vision of songwriting as a craft and why that's an important pursuit?
I think it's a religion. I mean, personally to me, without songs, I wouldn't have been able to live through high school. I mean, the Who Quadrophenia, saved my life probably. Not to say, literally, but it's an album I think about quite a bit, even now. And I think songs, ironically, the first shoot we ever did was on a Sunday at the Gypsy Lounge. And I just thought how appropriate that was, because I think music and songwriters particularly touch people to such a level, is the only thing close to is religion. And I like to believe that this is my way of helping these songwriters preach the gospel of what they're trying to say. I only work with positive people. I'm not going to put out negative songwriters.
Matt, we use the metaphor that people find their voice. And I was hoping you could speak to the idea that songwriters are each trying to find their voice. And how do you know when a songwriter has found their voice?
I don't think they find their voice. I think their voice finds them, and they just are vehicles. Whatever greater spirit or whoever they're channeling, each is their own. But I just believe we're all vehicles, creative people in general. We're chosen to do things, and that's my opinion.
For you, what's the tone? What's the vibe of SongCheck? What's the environment, the feeling you're trying to create?
I want it to be like a candlelight dinner. I want it to be, I really had a hard time going to venues and seeing drunks speaking over beautiful melodic songs of songwriters. And so I wanted that intimacy of a candlelight dinner or sitting in a front row, when they're singing Just to You. I think that's what I'm shooting for, like a Picasso drawing, the simplicity of just that portrait of an artist.